In this subsection, you are going to learn to draw the graph of the form y is equal to ax squared, and that's the most basic quadratic graph. Here a is a number. A can be either positive or negative. In this example, we're going to look at when a is positive. That is a coefficient of x squared. In this case is positive 1. So we are asked to draw the graph of y is equal to x squared between the values of x minus 4 to positive 4. In drawing this graph, you could design a table to work out the y values, and in this case I've provided a table. So all the values of x between minus 4 and positive 4 are in the table here, and all we have to do now is to work out their corresponding y values. So for minus 4, when x is minus 4, it means that minus 4 times minus 4 is going to give us positive 16, and we work out all the y values which are in the table here now, and then we draw our graph. So I'm going to show you the graph here, and then we're going to have a discussion about it. So our lowest x value was minus 4. So on the graph here we have minus 4 and positive 4 as the highest x value. Our y values in the table here, our smallest y value is 0 and our biggest y value is 16, so we make a scale from 0 to positive 16. Then we plot our points and draw our curve. So our first coordinate is minus 4 and positive 16. So we look on the x-axis for minus 4 and we read up on the y-axis for positive 16. And this is our first coordinate. Our second coordinate is minus 3 and positive 9. So minus 3 is on our x-axis here, and we read up to positive 9. Then minus 2 and positive 4, minus 1 and positive 1, 0 and 0, which is here, positive 1 and positive 1, positive 2 and positive 4, positive 3 and positive 9, positive 4 and positive 16. Now that we have plotted all the points for our curve, what we do now is to draw a smooth curve. So we draw our curve. After you draw your curve, you label your curve, which is y is equal to x squared. Now if you notice here, the coefficient of x squared here is positive. So in this case a is equal to positive 1. So it's very important to note that when this value here, the coefficient of x squared, is positive, the graph has this U shape, or the smiley face that was in our first example in the clip. Now we're going to look at another case where the coefficient of x squared is a negative number, and we're going to look and see the shape of the graph. Here we have in our example here y is equal to minus x squared. So in this case the coefficient of x here, or the value a, the coefficient of x squared is minus 1. So we are going to draw the graph for the values of x between minus 4 and positive 4. So we can make a table and we work out our y values. Now our first x value is minus 4, but the graph says minus x all squared, so I'm going to show you minus 4. So it's minus negative 4 all squared. So negative 4 is in the bracket here. All squared, that's going to give us positive 16, but because it says minus x squared, so it's going to be minus the value of x, which is minus 4 all squared. and that works out to be minus 16 when you expand the bracket and work it out. And here is the expansion. So it's minus 4 times minus 4 is going to give us positive 16, times the minus outside the bracket gives us minus 16. And we work out all the values in the table. Now that we have the values, we're going to draw the graph. I'm going to share this graph with you. So there are no positive y values. So we plot our coordinates as minus 4 and minus 16, minus 4 and minus 16, minus 3 and minus 9, minus 2 and minus 4, minus 1 and minus 1, 0 and 0, positive 1 and minus 1, positive 2 and minus 4, positive 3 and minus 9, and positive 4 and minus 16. After we plotted our points, we draw our curve, which is a very smooth curve. After you draw your curve, you label your graph. Y is equal to minus x squared. Now, key thing you need to note here is that when the coefficient of x squared is negative, the graph has this shape, which is that sad face expression. Okay, now I'm going to give you an example to do now, and I'm going to ask you to pause the clip and work out the y values. So here are the x values, so you need to work out the y values now. I'm going to share the y values with you shortly. Okay, now that you have worked out the y values, I'm going to share mine with you. So here are the y values. Pause the tape now again and please draw the graph. Okay, so now that you have drawn your graph, I'm going to share mine with you now. So our first coordinate here is minus 17, and how you get that is that you have minus 4 all squared, add 1, so minus 4 is minus 16, add 1, that's positive 17. So we have minus 4 and positive 17. So on our x-axis we have minus 4, positive 17, minus 3 and positive 10, minus 2 and positive 5, minus 1 and positive 2, 0 and positive 1, positive 1 and positive 2, positive 2 and positive 5, positive 3 and positive 10, positive 4 and positive 17, and we draw our curve. After you draw your curve, you label your graph. Y is equal to x squared plus 1. Again, if you notice here, the coefficient of x squared here is positive, so the graph has this U shape. Let's look at another case now where the coefficient of x squared is minus, it's a negative number. So pause the tape and please draw the graph for this. So the table is here, so you are required now to work out the y values. I'm going to share the first example with you, which is minus 4 all squared plus 1. Okay, since the graph is minus x squared, we're going to have minus, and then x is minus 4 all squared, so minus 4 all squared is going to give us positive 16, and the minus outside the bracket is going to give us minus 16 add 1 is minus 15. Okay, or minus 4 all squared means that it's minus 4 times minus 4, which is going to give us positive 16 times the minus sign outside the bracket gives us minus 16 add 1 is minus 15. So you should have gotten all these values here. So pause the tape now and draw the graph. Now that you have drawn your graph, I'm going to share mine with you now, and we discuss its features. So here we have the graph. So the first coordinate is minus 4 and minus 15, which is here, minus 3 and minus 8, minus 2 and minus 3, and minus 1 and 0, 0 and positive 1, positive 1 and 0, positive 2 and minus 3, positive 3 and minus 8, and positive 4 and minus 15. And we draw our curve. Now try this question now. So you're going to pause the tape and work out the values of x, the values of y. So the x values are here. Okay, so our first x value, we have minus 5. So the working out here, I'm going to show you. So it's minus 5 all squared plus 2 times minus 5 gives us 12. And the other y values are given here now. I'll show you the working out for the others. Let me just show you the working out for everything. So that's the working out. So we have the values for y now. So we are going to share the graph with you. So let's put our table here and we display our graph. So here is the graph. This is the graph that you should have gotten. Now at the start we decided that we want you to observe the shape of the graph of y is equal to ax all squared. So, and to draw the graph as well. So what I want you to do is to choose one of these Q clouds and write down something key about your learning. For further enquiries, my email is here in the description and my name is also here. I want to inform you that the technology that I use to do this lesson can teach you anywhere, anytime via VisionEdCare online classroom. Please feel free to request a live tutorial or a trial session with me. Thank you, and I hope you do enjoy quadratic graphs.